I woke up with a racing heart, a knot in my stomach, and the feeling that something was wrong. The dream that haunted me dissipated like smoke at dawn, leaving only a distant echo of anguish. I looked around. The sunlight filtered through the wooden window of my small house, illuminating the green fields surrounding our village. I got out of bed, but the weight in my chest wouldn't go away. It felt as if an invisible cloak was covering me, reminding me of the responsibilities I carried. "Lee, you need to wake up. The chores won't wait," my mother said, entering the room with a worried look. She always had that instinct to sense when something was bothering me. "You had that nightmare again, didn't you?" "I don't know," I replied, trying to shake off the confusion that still lingered in my mind. "I just know I woke up feeling lost." She came closer and stroked my hair, a gesture that always brought me comfort. "Don't worry, son. Try to focus on what you can do today. The farm needs you." She was right, of course. The fields, with their neat rows of rice, were waiting for me. I felt a growing pressure in my chest as I thought about the harvests that needed care and the expectations of the community. The weight of obligations seemed to sink me a little deeper each day, and I often wondered if I could bear it all. After a quick breakfast, I got dressed and left the house. The fresh morning air embraced me, and the distant chirping of birds brought a slight relief. As I walked toward the fields, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more, a shadow looming over me, something I couldn't identify. I thought of May and Jun, my childhood friends. Whenever we were together, life felt lighter, more bearable. In the field, the sun began to shine brightly, warming the land I knew so well. The mechanical motion of ploughing helped distract my mind, but still, the nightmare lingered in my memory like a song I couldn't forget. I thought about how nice it would be to share this with May, who had the gift of turning her emotions into art. I had always admired her ability to capture feelings that seemed indescribable to me. Later, as the sun began to set, I went to May's house. She was always willing to listen, and who knows, she might help me understand what was happening to me. Upon arriving, I found her sitting at her table surrounded by brushes and paints, her eyes lost on a blank canvas. "May," I called, entering without knocking. "Are you busy?" "Lee, hi," she replied, with a smile that lit up the room. "I was just trying to find inspiration, but I'm feeling as lost as you are." "Did you have a nightmare too?" I asked, sitting down beside her. The blank canvas seemed to reflect the confusion in our minds. "Yes, but I can't remember the details," May sighed, running her hand through her hair. "It's like there's something important I need to express, but I can't reach it." "It's strange, isn't it? The feeling that our dreams have something to tell us, but we can't remember," I commented, leaning on the table. "Sometimes I wonder if we really have control over what we dream, or if they are just lost fragments of something bigger." She looked at me with a deep gaze. "Maybe we should search for those fragments together." "You already talked to Jun about this?" "Actually, no." "Let's call him," I suggested, feeling that the idea of investigating together could help us better understand what was happening. We left May's house and walked towards Jun's house, which was near the entrance of the village. The sky was already tinged with orange and pink, a spectacle that would normally leave me in awe, but today everything seemed blurred. When we arrived, we found Jun sitting on a tree stump, his head down, as if he were lost in thought. "Jun!" I called, and he lifted his head, his dark eyes reflecting the twilight light. "Hi, Lee." "Hi, May," he replied with a slight smile. "I was thinking about life, as always. And you?" "We need to talk," May said in a serious tone. "We both had strange dreams and couldn't remember what they were. The feeling is that there's something important we need to discover." Jun frowned, thoughtful. Dreams. In Buddhist philosophy, there are teachings that talk about them, which may contain hidden messages. Maybe it's time for us to investigate together what our dreams really mean. Do you think we can do that? I asked, hopeful. How can we understand what our dreams are trying to tell us? We can start by meditating together, John suggested. Meditation can help us tune our minds and access what is hidden. If dreams are reflections of our lives and experiences, perhaps we can find the answers we seek. May and I exchanged glances. The idea of meditating together seemed like a good way to connect and, who knows, unravel the mysteries that tormented us. So, shall we do this? I asked, feeling a wave of determination. Yes, let's, John replied with a sparkle in his eyes. Thus, under the soft light of dusk, we decided to meet every night to meditate and explore the truth hidden behind our dreams. A new sense of hope began to blossom within me, and for the first time in a long time, I felt that I was not alone in my struggles. Together, we could unravel the mysteries surrounding us and perhaps find a path to clarity amidst the confusion that permeated our lives. The light of day was beginning to fade when I found myself with May and June at the entrance of the temple. The cool morning air brought a subtle aroma of cherry blossoms, reminding me of the ephemeral beauty of life. I looked at the faces of my friends, reflecting the same mix of expectation and anxiety that I felt. It was an important moment. We were about to delve into a journey in search of answers to the dreams that haunted us. Do you think Master Shen can really help us? I asked, trying to hide the doubt in my voice. I believe he can. He has wisdom that goes beyond what we can imagine, May replied, her eyes shining with a spark of hope. Jun nodded, already immersed in his thoughts. He had always been the most philosophical among us, and his mind was always questioning what lay behind appearances. Remember, dreams are like messages from our subconscious. We need to be open to hear what they have to say, he said, looking at the temple that rose majestically before us. We walked together along a stone path, surrounded by ancient trees. The temple was a sacred place, and the tranquility that emanated from it seemed to envelop us like a warm embrace. Upon entering, the smell of incense greeted us, mingling with the soft sound of bells ringing in the distance. Master Shen was sitting in a corner, his serene and unperturbed figure. He was an elderly man, with white hair and a deep gaze that seemed to see beyond words. "Welcome, young ones. What brings you to me?" His voice was soft, but carried a weight of wisdom that made me feel respectfully small. "Master Shen, we came in search of answers about our dreams. They torment us, but we cannot remember what they are," Jun said, taking the lead in the conversation. Master Shen smiled slightly, as if he already knew what we were going through. Dreams are reflections of our lives, of our emotions and fears. Often they bring to light what we cannot face during the day. To understand the message, one must look within, he explained, gesturing gently. I fell silent, absorbing his words. What he was saying seemed to make sense, but how could we access those lost memories? "What should we do, Master?" I asked, anxious. "Meditation is the key. By silencing the mind, you will be able to access hidden parts of yourselves. I recommend that you practice together, uniting your energies. The connection between you can bring clarity," he replied, his eyes shining with a light that seemed promising. May smiled, and I felt a warmth growing in my chest. The idea of meditating together felt powerful. "Let's do it," May said with an enthusiasm that was contagious. "We will be stronger together." Master Shen led us to a separate room, where the environment was calm and welcoming. He asked us to sit in a circle and close our eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel the air entering and leaving your bodies. Set aside your worries and focus only on this moment. His voice echoed softly, and I followed his instructions. I concentrated on my breathing. As I did so, I realized how my mind was filled with scattered thoughts, but gradually they began to calm down. A sense of peace started to settle within me. I felt the presence of May and June by my side, a shared energy that seemed to unite us. Now, visualize a safe place where you feel comfortable and protected. This is the space where you can explore your dreams, the Master continued. I followed your instructions and imagined a beautiful landscape, a flowering field under a blue sky. Feelings of tranquility and safety washed over me, and for a moment I forgot the anxieties of daily life. However, even in that safe space, shadows began to emerge, as if the past was trying to manifest itself. I tried to pull up a memory, but it seemed to slip through my fingers. A feeling of frustration started to grow within me, but I remembered Master Shen's words about patience and acceptance. After a few minutes, the Master asked us to take a break. Opening my eyes, I saw the faces of my friends. May was in a state of contemplation, while Jun seemed to be reflecting deeply on something. "What did you feel?" I asked, curious. "I saw colors, many vibrant colors," May replied, her voice soft as a breeze. "It was as if my art was manifesting, but I can't remember what it means. I heard whispers, words that seemed familiar, but I couldn't understand," Jun said, furrowing his brow. "It's like something is hiding from me." I listened to them, thinking about my own experience. What had I felt? I saw shadows, but I couldn't identify what they were. I felt there was something there that I should face, but I didn't know how, I confessed, frustration showing in my voice. Master Shen observed us in silence, as if he were absorbing our experiences. "Don't worry. Meditation is a practice that takes time. The important thing is that you are willing to connect and explore together. Keep meeting every night. Over time, the memories will come to light," he said, in an encouraging tone. We left the temple with our minds filled with reflections. The idea of gathering every night to meditate filled me with hope. If dreams were a way of communicating with our inner selves, I was determined to discover what they were trying to tell us. "So, shall we meet here tomorrow night?" May suggested, a smile lighting up her face. "Yes," I replied, feeling the positive energy among us. "Let's help each other unravel these mysteries." Jun agreed, and thus our new routine began. Each night would bring a new opportunity to dive deeper into our dreams and, who knows, find the hidden truths waiting for us. As we walked back to the village, I realized that even though we didn't have immediate answers, there was something profoundly powerful in our union. The journey we were about to embark on was as important as the dreams we were trying to unravel. And together, we were ready to face the unknown. The nights passed like silent shadows, and with each gathering under the starry sky, I felt the pressure of my dreams intensifying. It was almost as if the universe was whispering secrets to me that I couldn't decipher. Beside May and Jun, I looked at the crackling fire that illuminated our faces, and the warmth of the flames seemed to bring forth fragments of memories hidden deep in my mind. "What did you see last night, Lee?" May asked, her soft voice blending with the sound of the wind. "I saw a dark figure," I replied, feeling a chill run down my spine as I recalled the image. It was facing away from me, but I could feel the tension in the air. There was something familiar, yet at the same time it was terrifying. "A dark figure?" Jun repeated, his eyes shining with curiosity. That could mean something important. Dreams are reflections of our emotions, aren't they? Yes, but what does that figure represent? I asked, the unease growing inside me. I feel it has to do with the pressure I'm facing on the farm, but I can't understand what exactly it wants to tell me. May tilted her head, contemplative. What if the dark figure is a representation of your fear? The fear of losing everything you've built? The idea that my dreams could be an allegory for my fears left me thoughtful. May always had a way of seeing the world that I admired. She found beauty even in pain. Maybe, I said hesitantly. But what can I do to face it? The answer might be in meditation, John suggested. Master Shen told us we should delve into our thoughts. I agreed, and that night, after we meditated as a group, I was enveloped in a whirlwind of emotions. As the sounds of nature surrounded us, I closed my eyes and sought a connection with my inner self. I felt a current of energy pulsing around me, and for a moment I lost track of time and space. The silence was interrupted by a vivid image that invaded my mind. I was in the midst of a storm, lightning cutting through the night sky as I tried to save my crops. The ground was soaked and I struggled to maintain control, but the force of nature was overwhelming. I woke up with my heart racing, the feeling of panic still fresh in my mind. "What happened?" May asked, her expression worried. "It was a storm," I replied, trying to calm my breath. I was fighting to save the harvest. It felt like everything around me was collapsing. "That's terrifying, Lee," Jun said, his expression serious. "But maybe it's a warning. You feel overwhelmed, don't you?" "Yes, it's like I'm fighting against forces I can't control," I confessed, the anguish weighing on me. May looked at me with an intensity that made me feel understood. "The storm could be a representation of the challenges you're facing. You need to find a way to confront that pain." She stood up and with a determined gesture began to gather materials to paint. The blank canvas awaited her with anticipation, and I watched her with admiration. Her art always had a way of capturing deep emotions. "What are you going to do?" I asked, intrigued. "I want to transform this pain into something beautiful," she replied, already dipping her brushes into vibrant colors. "I think I can express what you're feeling through my painting." With each brushstroke, May brought to life a storm of colors, deep blues, heavy grays, touches of red that seemed to represent the agony and intensity of my internal struggle. I remained silent, watching the transformation. It was as if, through her art, she was giving voice to my fears and uncertainties. When the painting finally took shape, she turned to us, emotion etched on her face. "This is what you're going through, Lee. It's a mix of pain, loss, and at the same time, hope." I looked at the artwork, and for a moment, the tumultuous feelings surrounding me began to dissipate. May's art allowed me to see the storm not just as a disaster, but as a natural cycle of life. "It's incredible, May," I said, gratitude filling my voice. "You managed to express what I couldn't." Jun, who had been watching silently, finally spoke up. "You know, I realize that our dreams and visions are interconnected in some way. What you saw, Lee, and what May painted might have a deeper connection." "What do you mean?" I asked, intrigued. "What if we go further?" Jun suggested. "What if our dreams aren't just individual reflections, but representations of something larger that connects us?" The idea hung in the air, and a wave of curiosity washed over me. What was common between our experiences? "We should focus more on our visions," May agreed. "If we can unearth those connections, maybe we can better understand what we're trying to discover." "Then how about we do a deeper meditation together?" I proposed. "We can try to access what lies beyond what we've already seen." The two nodded, and the atmosphere filled with a new determination. It was as if the internal storm I was facing wasn't just mine, but a reflection of all our struggles. "Let's come together and seek that truth," Jun said, his voice full of conviction. We prepared for meditation once more, each of us sitting in a circle, connecting our energies. As I closed my eyes, I felt a wave of hope. It was as if the storm that had tormented me began to dissipate, giving way to a sense of clarity and purpose. In that moment, I realized we were all in this journey together, and that the hidden truth behind our dreams might not just be an individual discovery, but a collective revelation that would unite us even more. This idea brought me a glimpse of light amidst the darkness. The walk to the sacred mountain felt like a monumental challenge. Beside May and Jun, my longtime friends, I felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation. The sun was beginning to set, and the sky was tinged with orange and purple, as if the universe was preparing us for something extraordinary. I knew that the dreams we couldn't remember were just reflections of our lives, but there was something deeper that connected us, something we were about to discover. "Lee, are you okay?" May asked, her voice soft and concerned. She walked beside me, her hair blowing in the wind. I looked at her and tried to smile, but the truth was, I felt restless. The weight of the responsibilities on the farm and the burden of my nightmares loomed over me like a dark cloud. "I'm just thinking," I replied, trying to hide the turmoil of emotions within me. "I hope this journey helps us find what we're looking for." Jun, who was a bit behind, approached and added, "Nature has a way of showing us the truth. The silence of the mountains can reveal more than we imagine." He always had a philosophical way of seeing things, and in a way, his words were a relief. As we climbed the steep trail, the landscape became more beautiful and at the same time more challenging. Tall, ancient trees surrounded us, and the air began to feel purer, cutting through the weight of anxiety I felt. But soon, dark clouds began to gather in the sky, and a chilly breeze swept past us. "We better pick up the pace," May said, looking at the sky with concern. "It looks like a storm is approaching." The weather changed rapidly. As soon as we decided to quicken our steps, the rain began to fall. First in gentle drops, then in a torrential downpour that caught us by surprise. The ground, once firm beneath our feet, became slippery and treacherous. I looked around and saw May and June's determined expressions, but the truth was, I was terrified. The fear of failing, of not being able to reach the summit, began to mix with the strength of the wind and rain. "Lee, hold on, let's go together," Jun shouted, reaching out his hand to me. It was a simple gesture, but powerful. I took his hand, and together we faced the storm. The bond between us grew stronger with each step, and even amidst the chaos, I realized I wasn't alone. "We can't give up now, can we?" May shouted, her voice rising above the noise of the storm. "We're almost there." Her words ignited a spark of hope within me. What was a challenge transformed into a test of endurance. Each drop of rain felt like a repressed memory, and in that moment I realized that just like the storm, our dreams could be chaotic, but they could also bring us clarity. Finally, after a long and exhausting hike, we reached the summit of the mountain. The strong wind hit us, but the spectacle before our eyes made all the effort worthwhile. The view was breathtaking. The dark clouds began to dissipate, revealing a starry sky that seemed infinite. The cold, fresh air enveloped us, and I felt as if we were in the right place at that exact moment. I suggested that we sit down and meditate, still breathless, but now with a newfound purpose. Here, in this sacred place, perhaps we could find answers. We settled into a small, flat space, surrounded by stones and vegetation. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, allowing the energy of the mountain to penetrate me. The sound of the wind and the leaves blended into a tranquil symphony, and the clouds that had once alarmed us were now just a light veil in the sky. "What kind of answers do you hope to find?" Jun asked, his voice now soft, almost whispering. "Perhaps the truth about our dreams," I replied, opening my eyes and looking at the two of them. "I think we are more connected than we realize." May smiled, a smile that lit up her tired face. "I believe that each of us brings a part of the truth, and together, perhaps we can piece together the puzzle." As we meditated, each lost in our own thoughts, I began to feel a presence. It was as if something was approaching, a pulsing energy intertwining with ours. The connection between us became palpable, and in an instant, something began to unfold in my mind. Fragmented images started to emerge. I saw a child playing amid flames, laughter, and then fear. A shadow approached, and soon everything became confusing. The feeling of loss and despair overwhelmed me, and I abruptly opened my eyes. "Did you feel that?" I asked, my voice trembling. "I saw something. a child, a fire, something that left me distressed. Jun and May exchanged glances, and I realized they were equally affected. "I did too," said May, her voice low. "It seems we are all seeing fragments of something bigger." "It's as if we are connected by this experience," Jun reflected. "Perhaps our dreams are trying to show us something we can't comprehend." The meditation continued, but now there was a new focus. The connection between us intensified, and the visions began to intertwine. We felt the pain, the loss, and the confusion, but there was also a light, a hope that by unraveling these memories, we could find the truth we so desperately sought. Time seemed to drag on, yet at the same time, everything unfolded at a pace only we understood. The images became clearer, and for a moment everything seemed possible. We might find what had been lost. We might unravel the mystery that united us. When we finally emerged from that meditation, the sky was clear and starry, and the air felt lighter. We talked about our visions, each sharing fragments of experiences that seemed to echo one another. The feeling that something profound was about to be revealed hung over us. "We need to go back and investigate this further," I suggested, my mind buzzing with ideas. "The key to our dreams might lie in our past." "I agree," said May. "If we are connected, then we need to understand why and how this happened." Jun, always the thinker, looked at us and said, "Perhaps the answer is closer than we think. What separated us may be the same thing that united us." And there, at the summit of the sacred mountain, under the stars that shone like beacons of hope, we felt that the journey was just beginning. The road ahead would be challenging, but together we were ready to face whatever it might be. The truth, no matter how painful it could be, was about to reveal itself. Descending the mountain was a surreal experience. The fresh, clean air seemed to vibrate around us, as if nature were thanking us for seeking the truth in the heights. But as our steps became more firm, the reality of the vision we had experienced weighed heavier on our hearts. "Did you feel that too?" I started, looking at May and Jun, who walked beside me. That fire. We were there. All of us. The voice came out rougher than I expected, an echo of the pain that had lodged itself within me. May stopped, her eyes shining with a mixture of confusion and sadness. "Yes, I remember something. It's like the flames are still burning in my mind, but I can't understand. Why didn't we remember this before?" Jun, who had always been the most reflective among us, looked up at the cloudy sky, as if seeking answers in the clouds. "Perhaps we hid those memories to protect ourselves. Our hearts weren't ready to deal with what happened. But now we need to face it." Those words resonated within me. I felt a deep guilt, like a heavy weight in my chest. I remember running. I was so scared. And then everything went dark. My breath caught for a moment, and the heat of tears threatened to slip down my face. I couldn't save anyone. May whispered, her eyes filled with empathy. "We can't blame ourselves for what happened. It's something that was beyond our control. We were just children. But still, I could have done something. I could have screamed or tried to help." I couldn't finish the sentence. The pain choked me. Jun stepped closer, placing a hand on my shoulder. "We need to forgive ourselves. The first step to healing is accepting that we were innocent. We had no responsibility for that. It's our pain that unites us now, and we can work together to overcome it." Jun's words were wise, but doubt still lingered in my heart. Guilt is a hard burden to let go of, and even now, with this new understanding, I felt trapped in a cycle of pain and regret. And what if we never managed to get over this? May, always the most optimistic among us, smiled gently. "If we don't face it, we'll never know. We need Master Shen's help. He always had a way of guiding us. With him, we can better understand this pain and perhaps learn to forgive ourselves." The idea of returning to the temple brought a glimmer of light to the darkness that surrounded me. You are right, May. Let's go to the Master. He can help us find the peace we so desperately need. The path back to the village felt shorter, even though the weight of what we had discovered still lingered. As soon as we arrived at the temple, the scent of incense and the serenity of the place enveloped us like a warm embrace. Master Shen was sitting in his usual position, eyes closed, in meditation. Upon seeing us, he opened his eyes and smiled. "Welcome, my young ones. What brings you back to this sacred space?" His voice was soft, like a whisper of the wind. Overcome with emotion, we began to share our experience, from the walk to the mountain summit, the visions we had, and the revelation about the fire that marked us. The Master listened attentively, his calm expression never changing. "The pain of childhood," he finally said after a long silence. "It is a shadow that many carry. What you have experienced is a call for healing. The past cannot be changed, but the way we relate to it can." "How can we do that?" I asked, hope beginning to bloom in my heart. Guilt consumes me, and I feel like I will never be able to forgive myself. Master Shen tilted his head slightly. "Forgiveness starts within us. We need to look at the pain not as a burden, but as a part of our journey. What happened does not define who you are. It is a piece of the puzzle that forms the bigger picture of your lives." May, with tears in her eyes, questioned, "What if we can't forget? What if the pain is always there?" "Forgetting is not the goal," the Master replied, "but learning to live with that pain is. Through acceptance and love, we can transform that energy into something positive. What you can do is honor those who have passed, and instead of getting lost in guilt, you can create a legacy of love and light." The idea was powerful. Honor those we have lost instead of losing ourselves in pain. Jun looked at me and May, his expression determined. "We need to do this, not just for us, but for everyone who suffered from that fire." I nodded, feeling the determination growing inside me. "Let's come together and perform a forgiveness ritual. Not just for us, but for all those who suffered. We need to release this pain." Master Shen smiled, a glimmer of approval in his eyes. "This is an important step, my young ones. Through the ritual, you will be able to free yourselves from the shackles of the past. But remember, true forgiveness requires courage and vulnerability. Embrace the pain and then let it go." With the Master's instructions in mind, we decided that the next day we would gather the village for a healing ritual. It would be a moment for everyone to share their pain and together find peace. That night, as we prepared to sleep, something changed within me. The guilt was still present, but now there was a path ahead. The idea of transforming pain into something beautiful and meaningful filled me with hope. I was ready to face whatever came next, with May and Jun by my side. "I don't know what awaits us, but I am ready to face it," I declared, looking at my friends. "With you, I feel that we are stronger. Together, we will be invincible," May replied, a spark of determination in her eyes. And so, with intertwined hearts, we fell asleep under the starry sky, ready to confront the truth hidden behind our dreams, and whatever else fate had in store for us. The night was silent, wrapped in a cloak of stars that shone brightly. The cool air coming through the window brought me a mix of hope and anxiety. I found myself sitting at a small, improvised altar in May's living room. The smell of incense lingered in the air, creating an atmosphere conducive to meditation. May and Jun were by my side, each immersed in their own thoughts. But a collective feeling of anticipation filled the space. It was a special night, the night we hoped to unlock the mysteries of our dreams. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, trying to release all the worries that tormented me. Master Shen's words echoed in my mind. "Dreams are reflections of your lives and emotions." With each breath, I tried to connect even more with my inner self, hoping that meditation would lead us to a new understanding, a new truth. I felt a gentle breeze pass by, as if the universe were encouraging me to continue. After a few minutes, I began to feel a change. Images started to form in my mind, like a fog dissipating at dawn. I was in a familiar place, yet distant at the same time. A child was running, laughing, playing among other boys and girls. The scene was a simpler version of our village, filled with laughter and light. But as the image became clearer, a shadow emerged, obscuring everything. I could feel the heat of the fire and the smell of smoke, but what struck me most was the anguished scream echoing in my ears. I woke up abruptly, my heart racing, and looked at May and Jun. They were awake too, their eyes wide and expressions filled with confusion. "Did you see?" I asked, my voice trembling. "I saw a child, and then the fire. It was horrible." May shook her head, her hair disheveled. I saw colors, so many colors, but then a shadow fell over everything, and there were screams of despair. Jun, always the most analytical, seemed to be reflecting deeply. I heard whispers. They were voices of children, but there was something more. Someone was calling for me. We need to understand this connection. The words of Jun pierced through me like an arrow. It was true. There was something more there, something that connected us in ways we still didn't understand. "What happened to us back then?" I asked, fear mingling with curiosity. Why couldn't we remember each other? "Maybe it was because we weren't ready to face the pain of loss yet," May suggested, and her gaze reflected deep sadness. "It's as if our memories were tucked away somewhere, waiting for us to be ready to confront them." We fell silent for a moment, each reflecting on our own experiences, on how pain can be an obstacle to remembrance. But at the same time, something inside me began to ignite. We need to return to our past, to where it all began. We need to uncover the truth that was taken from us. The next morning, we decided to visit the place where the tragedy had occurred. The village we once knew was now a different place, but the memories were still there, hidden beneath the surface. The path there felt familiar, yet it carried an emotional weight that left us apprehensive. Every step we took seemed to bring us closer to a truth we feared but needed to confront. Upon arriving, we found the remnants of an ancient temple that had been consumed by flames. The ruined structure still exuded a sense of loss, and the air was charged with energy. "It's here that it all happened," I murmured, unsure whether it was a statement or a question. "Look," Jun pointed to the ground. "The marks in the earth, they must tell us something." We crouched down and began examining the site. What was once a space of joy and play was now a somber reminder of a past that haunted us. "I feel like a story is waiting to be told," May whispered, her eyes scanning the surroundings. And suddenly, as if a light had turned on in my mind, a fragment of memory surfaced. I remember something," I said, my voice trembling. A hand, a small hand holding mine. It was a sunny day, and we were all together. The expressions on May and Jun's faces shifted. "Whose hand was it?" Jun asked, his voice filled with anticipation. It was a girl's hand. I couldn't see her face, but there was a feeling of joy. Then everything changed. The fire started, and I couldn't find anyone anymore. I was taken, separated. May closed her eyes, as if trying to access her own memories. "I think I also..." There was a girl. It was like we were playing. But then the fire came, and I got lost. I couldn't find my way back. "What if that girl is you?" Jun suggested, his voice full of emotion. "What if it's all of us?" The revelation shook my heart. That's impossible, but at the same time, it makes sense. What we were discovering was deeper than any of us could imagine. "We are siblings," I affirmed, the truth materializing in my mind. We were separated after the fire. This pain we feel, these dreams we can't remember, it's all because of the loss we experienced. Emotion overwhelmed us, and for the first time, we began to understand the depth of our intertwined lives. We weren't just friends, we were a family, marked by a tragic event that pulled us apart, but now, finally, brought us together again. May, with tears in her eyes, said, "We need to honor our past. We need to forgive ourselves and understand that pain united us. Even in loss, we found a way back to each other. We agreed that the hidden truth we had sought was not just about dreams, but about the reconnection we needed to heal our wounds. We decided that from that moment on, we would no longer be just Lee, May, and June. We would be a family, ready to face the past and build a future together." We returned to the village, determined to celebrate our new union. We knew the journey wouldn't be easy, but the truth that emerged from our memories gave us hope. Over time, the scars would become part of our story, but they would no longer be a burden. They would be reminders of resilience, and together we would give a new meaning to the word family, understanding that even in pain, truth and love always prevail. Now let's take a brief reflection. The quest for answers in our dreams and memories reflects our own journey of self-discovery. Often, the lessons our dreams bring us relate to challenges and fears we face in our waking life. However, meditation and introspection can help us unravel these mysteries and connect with a greater truth. Remember that just like Lee, May, and June, we are not alone on this journey. When we connect with others, the truth can reveal itself in surprising ways. Now tell us in the comments what you thought of this story and what lesson you learned from it. Have you ever had a dream that seemed to have a hidden meaning? Share your experience with us. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow more deep and emotional stories like this one. We have many other videos that might surprise you and bring new reflections. Until the next video, or better yet, watch the upcoming videos. You'll be amazed by other beautiful and revealing stories.